This week's episode is on cybersecurity and was inspired by a recent article on email fraud. The article is titled, "The Exact Email Fraud Menace Continues. Crooks Net 15 million via Microsoft's Cloud." Let's break down this clickbait headline. First off, you can forget about the Microsoft Cloud reference. Even though much of the action took place on Office 365, it could just as easily have taken place on any other email system and is more the fault of the users than the platform itself. So if you're a user of Microsoft Office, Office 365, Azure, or any other Microsoft Cloud products, fear not. Just be sure to stick around until the end, where I'm going to point out a few tips on how you can avoid this type of mess. The focus of this article is on some very successful cyber criminals and a well-coordinated wire fraud scheme. The criminals essentially convinced the financial folks in several different institutions to wire money to them by impersonating business partners. They did this using email in two different ways. The first thing that they did was they gained direct access to an email account and send messages directly from there. This is hard to do, and they used it very few times. The second tactic that they used was they registered domain names that could be easily mistaken for those used by the folks that they wanted to impersonate. This is a very easy attack to pull off, so you have to be careful about the things that you're looking at in your email. The example in the article has Forbes.com spelt with a 3 in place of the E that could easily be mistaken for the actual Forbes.com email. So what can we do to avoid all this? The first thing we can do is hit the like button for the algorithm so more people can see this video and they can be protected from these types of attacks. The first and most important thing you can do is have your Office 365 tenant secured properly by a qualified IT professional. The second thing we can do is implement a strong password policy. This would be a policy that would suggest that all passwords should be a certain length, can be no longer than a certain age, are going to be totally random letters and numbers, have uppercase and lowercase characters, symbols, and all kinds of other things to make it look as random as possible. Use multi-factor authentication. Leverage dark web monitoring to help with your password security. Get a spam and email threat filtering service, a third party that specializes in this. The stuff that comes with Office 365 is not adequate. Have a security awareness training program so your folks can be trained on how to identify fraudulent emails when they come in. Lastly, implement a process to confirm wire instructions using a secondary form of verification, either via text or maybe even pick up the phone, call the CEO and say, "Hey, CEO, did you change the wire instructions at the last minute? Congratulations, I just saved you $15 million. You're welcome."